Hello and welcome back on my YouTube channel, Parth Doshi Learning by Doing. So, this is going to be a very interesting video, and we are going to learn a very interesting and important concept. So, few days back, I uploaded a video on what is Workflow Analyzer and how we can use the rules defined in them to follow the best automation practices. Now, what if you want to apply a rule that is not present in the set of rules that are available by default? You want to develop your own custom rule. So in this video, we are going to build our own custom rule completely from scratch, and we are going to use it in UiPath. So in this complete video, I will be showing you how can you write the C# code in Visual Studio and create a DLL of your custom rule. We will be understanding each and every part of that particular code, and I will also make the code available to you. After that, we'll see how we can use that rule in UiPath Studio. So the complete video is going to be into two parts. The first is building the rule, and the second one is using it in UiPath. So without any delay, let's get started with this interesting topic. Okay. So you require two things. One is Visual Studio 2019 version and the .NET framework, at least 4.6.2. So let me open. So this is the code that I've already written. But now if you see, the code is hardly of 80 lines. And in this I have built my complete rule. So I'll be showing you how I have built what I have done completely. So you no need to worry about that. And now the very first thing you need to do is you need to go to file. So basically you need to create a project. Now, which project should it be that can give us our appropriate DLL? So you need to search over here, class library. Okay, let it get load. Okay. Now you see this class library .NET framework. This is what you need to use, right? So once you create this, and you need to give an appropriate name. Okay, let me clear this and let me see. Okay, let me close this. Yeah. So that is what the project that you need to create. Now, once you have created this project, there is the documentation as well available, building custom rules. So I have completely followed this instructions over here and I have built my workflow. So now if you see, the .NET framework version is 4.6.1. So that is the .NET framework version required, right? Creating rules. So we need to have this package, like when we write, so we are basically writing our code in C#. So when we write the code in C#, we need the NuGet packages or we need the reference. So we need to import one using this URL, right? So you need to copy this URL. I will add the link in the description as well. And what you need to do is go to project, manage NuGet packages, right? And let a window get popped up, right? You need to go to settings and you need to click on add, and here you need to type the name UiPath, and here you need to give the URL. Like if you see over here, I've already given UiPath API. So it is https www.myget.org/f/workflow. So this is what you need to create. Now, once you create that, and if you search over here, uipath.activities.api, you see, you need to install this particular package. So now these are the prerequisite before we get into coding and write the complete code. So first of all, right now, what we saw is how we can install the NuGet package that is required to build the complete workflow analyzer rule. So now let's start with the complete implementation of the code, and then creating the DLL, and that will be used in UiPath. So this is going to be a long video, and definitely there are many concepts going to come into it. Now, if you see, first a class that we need to create inside the namespace. So this is basically the project name that I have given. Now, if you see after that, this is the main class in which are all the code will come. So public class rule repository, I register analyzer configuration component called by the analyzer application in each rule assembly in order to configure the host analyzer. So basically this is a statement that is that helps us to define that we are going to write the complete code for a rule which will be used to analyze the workflow. Now the configuration, everything will be mentioned is inside this. So now let's see over here. If we have something over here, I register interface, yeah, implement the iRegister analyzer configuration, right? If you see public class register analyzer configuration, so that is what I've done. Public class rule repository, iRegister analyzer configuration. This is what we need to do first, the first step, rule registration. So we are trying to register our rule in the rule repository. Now after that, you see public void initialize with the following method. Public void initialize I analyzer configuration service workflow analyzer config service. That is what we are doing over here. Public void initialize represents the components that configures the workflow analyzer configuration service. This is the object that we are creating for this particular thing. I analyzer configuration service. It's also mentioned in the documents. Right. Now, first what we are checking. So this first step, basically I will explain what is this students. So now what if my workflow analyzer, the configuration that I'm doing now, workflow analyzer is not present only in the studio, or there is some problem because of that, right? So we are just going to simply return, and this won't get executed, the further part. So this is what that line, if workflow analyzer service has feature, returns true if a feature is supported. So if there is a studio version that does not support the workflow analyzer feature, then what should be done in that case? So in that case, this should simply return, and the further process, the rule won't be basically shown over there, right? So now the rule that we are building is basically we are trying to build a rule in which, okay, so since I've already built it, I will show the rule what it is. Now, whenever I'm declaring variable, I don't want this particular string to be included in that variable. Now, this is what we are giving a customizable option. So if any variable name has the word called test, so it should throw me an error. Okay, that is what we have set. Now, do I have any variable? Yeah, what I will do is I will add one variable test. Okay, and now I will analyze the file. So I should be getting the error. Okay, the file is getting analyzed, and yeah, not allowed variables. Now, recommendation is fix your variable naming. So this variable is not allowed. Variable test contains an invalid string test. So if you see variable test, if I change that, so we'll have that. Okay, we'll see that further. So this is the rule that we are trying to build. So what I have done is I have declared a variable where forbidden string, right, and new rule. So this is the new rule that we are trying to define. And as you can see over here, now the very important step is giving a code a name and the scope of it, right? So what I have done is, here you see new forbidden string rule. This is the rule that we are defining. New rule, I activity model. Now if you see, the scope is at 3 level: workflow, project, and activity. Now, if I change this, I have to change the further part as well, but we can create on whichever scope we want to. So if I want to create at project level, so what I'll do is I'll type I project model. So now you see my error is gone. UiPath.studio.analyzer.models, and this is a project model. If I do it as I workflow model, I can even do that as well. But what I have done is I have kept it at activity. So these are the three things: at activity level, at workflow level, or the project level. The name I am giving to this. Now, if you see here, we need to define three things. The first is not allowed variable. That is my name. Then it is my code. D means demo. This is what I'm doing. So there are different. If I do it as ST, that means studio, right? Or system. Then I do UI, then it involves in the UI package. So we are keeping it as DE, and inspect variable for string. So now there is definitely a logic to be written whenever this rule is applied and the activities are to be tested. Now that complete logic is in my this function, inspect variable for string. So if you see below, I have declared a private function, private inspection result, and it says inspect variable for string, and we are passing the activity to inspect and whatever our role is configured. So that we'll see the later. But here you need to declare three things, whatever your logic you want to keep it as: the name, the code, and the function that has to be called every time. Now there's one more thing you see, default. Okay, let me try to expand this. Default action. Forbidden string rule dot default error level is going to be error. Now the trace level, as we see in the logs, are also different. Error, info, verbose, warning. So I've kept it as error by default. You can keep it as anything, whatever you want. If you want to just show the warning, then you keep it as warning or information or anything as such. So here we are setting the error. So right now what we have done is, first we have checked whether the workflow analyzer is supported in the studio version. If yes, then we move forward. If not, then the rule will not be displayed. The second step what we did is we gave a appropriate name to our rule that we are building, an appropriate code, and we created a function name for that. Later we'll see how we can write the complete logic. So now if you see, we have configured this particular complete line. Now if you see, there is one more pane over here, recommendation and invalid string. So how am I giving this option to the user to configure the invalid string? That is what we are going to do right now. Okay, so forbidden string dot parameters dot add, we are passing a key and its particular value we are giving. So this key can be anything. You can change it to whatever you want, but to keep it a meaningful, to give it a meaningful name to that particular key, we are keeping it as string in variable. Right. So if you see, let me reset it to default. Yeah. Now if you see, this is the title. That is one thing that I need to give. The second is this text box option, which has by default a particular value and which can be changed by the user. Now this is my key for string in variable. My new parameters that I'm declaring is a default value which comes over here. Then it is key. Key is definitely going to be the same. And localized display name, as you can see over here, the localized display name is this invalid string, which I've written over here, invalid string. Right. So this is the complete, you say, the UI of the rule that I have created. Right. In this few 7 to 8 lines, we have created the UI of our rule. Now again, workflow analyzer config service is what we have created over here. We are going to add rule in, again, I activity model. Now this needs to be same overall in your code. That is the forbidden string rule. So we have created a rule in which if any particular string that we define is existing in that particular variable, then we should be getting the error. Now here there are multiple things to be checked. First of all, whether this string exists or not. It can be in one activity or it can be in many activities. Now what if there is no activity itself, or the string that we are having is null or empty, right? Then we need not show this error. The other thing that we need to do is we have to check whether there are variables in the existing project or not. If there are no variables, then the rule should not throw any error. So therefore, there has errors, that particular rules has errors, should be false. So now I hope this much part is clear of the code, that where we are creating the UI of that particular complete, you can say, the rule that we are defining. We are giving it a default value, we are giving it localized display name and multiple things, right? So yeah, we are done with this first particular part. Now the second part is writing this function, and this is also pretty simple, like it went till now. It is not that much difficult to write this. It's just that you need to have a good knowledge of C sharp to write this complete. Now if you see, if we go to the documentation, right, and yeah, if we see over here, private static private inspection result. Now we have defined the UI, we have defined what should be content, what should be not content, but what should be the result of that? Now we are going to write our complete result. So that's why it is private inspection result. Inspect variable for string. This is just a simple function name. I activity model, again, activity to inspect, and rule, configured rule. So we are, the rule whatever we have configured, we are going to pass it over here. As you can see here, we have configured the rule string in variable, which is the key of our rule. So two things, activity to be inspected, that is, that can be multiple activities. So we are going to define that particular error for each of the activity, right, wherever it is being used, or even if the variable is not used any activity, but still if it's defined. Now if you see over here, I have not used the test variable anywhere, right, but still I'm getting the error. That is because we are also checking the variables and also in which activity it is being used, right? So this is private. Now if you see, the end of this function is somewhere over here below, right? So private inspection result, inspect variable for string, I activity model, that is the activity to be inspected, and the rule configuration, right? Now the first thing, where configured string is equals to configured rule, that is the parameter that we are passing, dot parameters. Now we need the parameters of string in variable and its value. So the default value you can see is over here, where. So basically we are writing this particular line to get this default value using the key. So configured load dot parameters string in variable question mark dot rule. Now what if my configured string is null or empty? Then what I'm going to do is return inspection result has errors is equals to false, because there are no errors. So we are passing it as false. Now the second thing is, what if my variable count is 0? So now what if my variable count is 0? Then again, I have to return the inspection result has errors is equals to false. So there is no hard and fast logic in this. This is the simple check that we are adding to see if my particular configured string is null or empty, or if the variables counted are equal to 0, right? So these two things we have done. Now the third thing, that we need to check. Now we know that errors can be for multiple activities or multiple variables that have been created. So we need to display the errors for each of them. That's why we are creating a list called message list, in which we are passing the inspection message that we'll be writing now. So the inspection message, what the inspection message will be, we will pass that, right? So for each var variable in activity dot inspect, right, dot variables. Now if you see, you can create the same check for arguments as well. Okay, let me show something to you. Now if you see, I activity model can help you evaluate the variables, the delegated arguments, the arguments, properties, children, parent, context, and multiple things. So you can create a check, or you can create a rule for whatever you want. You can create for arguments, you can create for variables. But right now we have created for variables. That's why if you see, I'm getting this variables as a function over here. Dot variables. It can be dot arguments, delegate arguments. That is what I showed you over there in the definition, right? So for where variable in activity to inspect dot variable. So whatever variables are created in each of the activity, we are going to check that variable. Now, if variable dot display name is basically what the name we are giving to the variable, that is this. The name that we see, this is the display name. Dot contains configured string. Now configured string has been declared at the start of this function as the value where. So that is going to be there. Yeah, if it contains, then we are going to add a message to that particular list, and at the end we will display the complete list. So that is what we are going to return as the call of this function. So now if variable dot display name dot contains that configured string, then message list dot add new inspection message. Since it is the list of inspection message dollar variable dot display name. So we are giving a customized message that you can see in the curly brackets. We are doing that variable dot display name contains an invalid string and the configured string. So what is that invalid string? Is the configured string that we have taken the default value from our activity. So that is what we are passing over here. Messages variable dot display name contains an invalid string configured string. So this is the for each loop that we have defined. So I hope till now everything is clear and there is no much of confusion. What we have done, first we wrote the complete UI of our rule along with giving the parameters and everything. Then we are defining the UI of our result and the main logic behind it. Now if right, if my messages dot count is greater than 0, then return new inspection result has errors true. Inspection message list recommendation messages fix your variable naming error level configured error level, whatever the configured error level is that. So we are saying that yes, there are errors, these are your errors, and the recommendation is to fix your variable naming. So that is what we are giving in the output, and the error level is the configured rule error level what we have done before. And after that, at the end of the function, after returning this message, we are setting our has errors again to false. So once displayed, it should not get displayed again and again. So that is what we are doing over here, right? So this is the complete code. I think it was too much of logic, but I tried to simplify it and explain it in the very much simpler manner as much I could. And yeah, so this is the complete code. Now we are going to see how we can implement this in UiPath and have our own workflow analyzer rule. So before that, let me just do a quick recap of this complete code. First, we defined registered a rule in the rule repository. Then what we did is we checked if the workflow analyzer feature is available or not. If available, then yes, move ahead. If not, then nothing. Then we defined our rule name, rule code, and the function that is to be called in which there is the main logic. Then we defined the default error level. Then we gave it a key. We provided an option for user to write the parameter. And then what we did is we wrote the complete logic. We first checked if the activities has the variable, if the variable count is greater than 0. After that, what we did was we wrote the complete logic. We created a message list for multiple activities and the variables that have been created to display the error message. Once that is done, we successfully set the has errors to false after each of the execution is completed. Now what you have to do is you have to simply go to the main project folder, right? You have to go to bin, you have to go to debug, and you will see the maximum variable length .dll. You have to copy that one and you have to put inside your UiPath app data. You will see this version. You go into the rules section and you add over here. If you see maximum variable length, so you have to add in your the path can differ. It can be in program data, but wherever this installation complete UiPath setup is there along with the DLLs and various other files, in that rules folder you need to give that. Now once you give that, you need to just simply restart your studio or open close the project, and in analyze file you will see this. It will automatically be displayed. You don't need to do anything. The code that we define, not allowed variables, the scope is activity, and this can be changed to info or anything. Now I'm giving here test. Let me click on OK. And okay, I have to analyze the file. Now you see, since I've changed the, what we say, I think it is because of this. Mm, Not allowed variables. And the recommendation that we said, fixed your variable naming, is available over here. So this is how you can build your complete workflow analyzer rules, and you can implement that in your project to follow the best automation practices. So I hope each and every concept is clear to you in this video. And if you have any queries, then you can feel free to reach me out anytime on LinkedIn or on my WhatsApp number or on my email. All the details are available in the description. So you see, this is how I think in around 20 to 25 minutes, or maybe less than that, we have built a complete workflow analyzer rule. We wrote our own C# code, which was very simpler, that I tried to explain. And now what I expect is, like, what should be the call to action after watching this video is to create your own workflow analyzer rule, and maybe post a video on LinkedIn, or you can share it with me. Maybe through my YouTube channel we can show that particular rule to different users and viewers of my channel. So thank you for watching the complete video. I hope you understood every part of building a customized workflow analyzer rule. The second video of a customized workflow analyzer rule will be on restricting the length of the variable name, like giving an option to restrict, like the variables cannot be more than of length of 10, 20, 30 or something like that. So the next video after this I will be uploading on that. So stay tuned and subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon to stay updated on all the new videos I upload. Thank you.